Good day, guys. Welcome back. Today we are going to be solving the cubic equations by factoring method. We are going to be looking at the equation that is given as 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 8 equal 0. Now we are being required to solve for this by factoring method. We actually or essentially need to factorize this. So now before we factorize this, we need to take note of various things. We need to remember that when we factorize the cubic equations, we need to remember the following words. We need to know that we need to solve for the equation. Secondly, we need to find the zeros. Find zeros. Thirdly, we need to find the roots. Number 4, and then we need to find the solution. Now we are being given an equation that says we should solve for 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus 20x minus 8 equals 0. Now, for the fact that we are given an equal sign, it means that by the end of this discussion, we need to be having the values of the unknown or the values of the variables, which in this case is the values of x. Now, to look at this equation, we need to solve for it in the most simple and possible way. Let us try to solve it. Some people solve it by using a calculator, by finding factors. Some are using a long division method, which we have discussed before. But today we are going to try and simplify it as simple as possible. I hope it works for all of you guys. Now, here we are going to make it the division between all the values that are given here. Now, we are given 4 different kinds of values with variables and a constant value of negative 8. We need to separate them to make things simple. Now, first thing first, we are going to separate 5x cubed plus 2x squared. And then the second one will be minus 20x minus 8. Now, to solve for this, we are going to take down the 5x cubed plus 2x squared and find the possible factors in this expression. Now, when we look at these two things, 5x cubed plus 2x squared, what is it that is common? What is it that is common? What is common for me is simply an x squared. So we take down x squared, then we enclose the bracket. Now, what is it that we need to multiply the x squared to find the possible value of 5x cubed? We need 5x. Now, x squared multiplied by 5x will give us 5x cubed plus what value do we need to multiply the x squared so that we go back or we refine the possible value of x squared is 2. Now we close the bracket. Now when we multiply x squared and 5x, we get 5x cubed. When we multiply x squared with the 2, we get 2x squared. Now this is simplified. We'll find the factor for this one. Now we go to the second one. The second one is minus 20x minus 8. Now, what is it that is common here? Obviously, we cannot say x is common, because something that is common is any value or variable that appears in both of the values that are given. So now x does not appear here, both sides, for 20 and 8 compared to the initial expression. Here we took out x because it appeared commonly in both values of 5 and 2. So here we cannot take out 2x. So what is common here is the negative sign. Negative sign appears here and it appears there. And then what is common here, we find the factors of the values that are given. What are the factors of 20 and 8? The factors of 20 and 8 are many, but we need to find the factors that when we go back to the expression and multiply, we refined the original expression. So the common factor here is 4. 4 appears in 20 and 4 appears in 8. So we close the bracket, we open the bracket. So now what do we need for us to multiply the value of negative 4 so that we find the value of negative 20x? 4 times which value that finds 20 is 5x. 5x. Now, what do we need so that when we multiply, we find the value of negative 8? We need the value of 2, obviously. But what sign must we use here? Must we use negative? We can't use negative because when we use negative, it don't give us negative here, because we will be multiplying negative and negative, so it will give us a positive. So now, when we multiply a negative with a negative, it gives us a positive. So now, when we multiply a negative with a positive, it will give us the negative value. So this one is also simplified. So now this one has given us the basic and the simplest way to simplify the cubic equation, because now we have 2 factors that are taken, and we have what is common between the 2 expressions that we have. Remember, this is equals to 0. So now, what is the common factor in these 2 expressions? The common factor here is 5x plus 2. 5x plus 2 is common on the left hand side. We have a negative there, so it is also common on the right hand side because it appears both sides. So now that we have jotted down the first common factor of these given expressions, what is it? There is another common factor that is left there. We have x squared minus 4 equals 0. So now this is partially factorized, but we are not done because we are looking for the unknown, or the values of the variable of x, which is the actual or the original variables that are, or variable that is given in the original equation. So now that we have 5x plus 2, we still need to factorize this second bracket, because this second bracket gives us what we call the perfect square, which is x squared minus 4. So now, according to the laws of exponent, how can we reduce the value of 4 to an exponential form? X squared minus 2 to the power of what? That will give us 4. 2. So this is what we call the difference of 2 squares. So now this tells us that we should open 2 sets of bracket equals 0, so that we have x and x, 2 and 2, plus and minus. It's always a plus and minus because it's a difference of 2 squares. it gives us the ability to multiply and return to the original expression. So now we have factorized the cubic equation. Now we are going to be finding the final values and the solutions. We are going to be finding 3 possible values of x because we are factorizing a cubic function, or equation, sorry. But if we were factorizing a quadratic equation that had the degree or highest degree of 2, highest degree is the highest exponent across the given equation. So if it was 2 instead of 3, and then the possible values of x that we were going to be looking for were only 2, but now it's 3 because we are simplifying cubic function. So the first bracket that we have is the value of 5x plus 2 equals 0. The second one, x plus 2 equals 0. The third one, x minus 2 equals 0. Now, because we are looking for the value of the unknown, everything that appears across these 3 equations that do not have the unknown or do not have the value of the variable of x should be transposed to the right hand side, so that we are left with the left hand side that is left with the variable of x. So here we have 5x equal, we transpose 2 minus 2. When you transpose, it changes the sign. We go to the second one, x equal minus 2, it changes the sign. Third one, x equal 2, it changes the sign. Positive 2, it was negative, now it's positive. Now these ones are solved, but this one is not solved because it still has the value of 5 attached to the variable of x. We call that the coefficient value. The coefficient value is the value that is attached to the variable that is given. So now, how do we remove the coefficient value? We divide both sides by the value that we do not want. So we divide with 5, so that the 5 cancels that 5, so that we are left with x equal minus 2 over 5. Therefore, the possible values of x are x equal minus 2 over 5, or x equal minus 2, or x equal 2. Solved.